Hey, what's up, YouTube? Kenny here, and today we're going to talk about AMD, our beloved AMD. So on this channel, we definitely like to shill AMD. That's because we have a lot of conviction. We've done a lot of due diligence when it comes to AMD. That said, Lisa's been amazing this year and last year, and AMD has been an account maker for us. And that's because last year, when AMD was bouncing around 75, we loaded the boat and we had a price target of 120. We had a lot of conviction. We did a lot of good DD. We stuck to our guns and it hit more than 120, almost 160. But on the way to 120, we were leveraged to the you-know-what. So our account almost pretty much 10x'd at that point. So anyways, AMD, one of our favorites. So that said, can it be an account maker this year? What do we see it doing? Will it hit our 140 price target? Let's go ahead and talk about those things. So really quickly, though, if you don't know about the Xilinx AMD kind of merger here, not merger, and acquire, AMD is looking to acquire Xilinx. China conditionally approves it. And if you don't know why, China's kind of like the bottleneck because everybody else has already approved it, Europe, America, etc. There's an interesting arbitrage situation for folks like Angel in the chat who are leveraged to the you-know-what in Xilinx shares, that if the merger goes through, they get that premium. Right now, AMD is selling off down about 7%, but let's go ahead and talk about it really quickly. This is the YOLO account. It got blasted. I don't want to show you that. I want to show you something good, the macro research account. So the macro research account started with $500 and it's at $21,930. The biggest kind of update, and I want to just update everybody, is the fact that, yeah, the Costco and the bug puts got us from about 10,000 to about 18,500. Right now, the last leg right here, and we're still have puts on, but not for that. Close those out. We have puts on DKNG and CCJ right now, so that's kind of what we're playing right now. Took a couple lottery tickets here because we're doing so well anyways. But yeah, this thing is kind of moving. Just kind of want to show that off a little bit. Goal for this year, hopefully 100,000, and then next year, 1 million. We'll see what we can do, but I mean, starting with 500, that is pretty good. Anyways, let's talk about China. China says that in a public notice that the market regulators said it will approve the deal on a condition that AMD and Xilinx do not force tie-in sales of products or discriminate against customers that buy one set of products but not another. So yeah, don't force tie-in sales. Don't make me buy an AMD chip just to make the Xilinx chip work, that kind of thing, right? So anyways, that's kind of the news from there. And it looks like this is going to happen. Okay, so one big deal is that when it comes to analysts and analyst downgrade, so one of the premier analysts, as you can see here, ranked number 23 out of 7,757 analysts, excuse me, he has an 80% success rate and average return of 32.3%. He is what you would call a hitter, boys and girls, and he has downgraded AMD. So we always audit for like these analysts when people are kind of following them very heavily, especially kind of the buy side folks. But the thing is here, he is obviously a primo vero chef's kiss of analyst. You gotta listen to what he's saying, and he's downgraded from 140 to 130. Okay, so you're saying it's still upside. So what's the big deal? The problem is, I guess his thesis, if you will, is that the PC market will not have the growth that it will before. And that's kind of the kind of touchstone or the kind of bedrock for his kind of thesis. The thing that I'd say is, this is an article, and there's tons of articles like this, but it says the PC market will grow significantly significantly this year, that's 2021, and decline in 2022. And we are definitely in 2022. Here's the graph. What they're trying to show is, that we pulled forward a lot of demand in the office work from home space, built up that kind of volume when it comes to computers, personal computers and stuff. The one thing I'd say, well, there's two things I'd say. One, if you looked at the numbers when it comes to Hewlett-Packard and some of the other folks that have reported, it looks like sales were not as bad. So maybe we see something like this instead, and so maybe it's not as detrimental to AMD. So AMD in the short term, when it comes to that, they should suffer a little bit. But there are things that make me kind of more optimistic. So one of the things that we always talk about is that it's early ramp cycle for their server side. sales and kind of how they're dominating the server market. With the total addressable market increasing and kind of them leaning into that and stealing a lot of addressable market from its competitors, INTC for one. It's interesting. That said, if you looked at INTC and their earnings, you saw that their servers did really well too, actually. So it's one of those interesting spots where you can either say that, hey, Intel took back some share, but I don't think so because these contracts are already in place. More to me that, people need more servers. And so if so, you can suggest that, because of this metaverse stuff, of just all these folks with the cloud compute and everything, you get my point that it's just increasing in volume. And so if so, maybe that is a good sign for AMD as well. That said, if we look at the chart, it doesn't look good at all. She don't look nice, boys and girls, and I'm just being honest here. The thing is, this is the 13, so this is the DeMark indicator combo count. It shows where trends can kind of change, right? So like this is good for dip buying or selling at the top. It looks for trend rejection, and so one of the things is 9s show intermediate exhaustion, 13s show extreme exhaustion. Essentially, we're showing a 13 here, so it should bounce. That said, the one thing that's very scary is this blue line right here is the 200 SMA. It is cracked and fallen through the 200 SMA. That is super critical. We really wanted to see that hold. We really needed to see it hold. I don't even have any SMAs longer than that on my chart. 50, 100, 200. What else? Since we've cracked that, right? And since, 100 is a good psychological number, a good psychological price target. It should hold. That said, I'm not as optimistic that it will hold, and I do think it has the chance to undercut here for a couple different reasons. Again, we've cracked the 200. This is one of those throw the baby out with the bathwater situations where AMD is just getting tossed out with all the bad meme stocks as well. The other thing that I see, especially in a market like this, so Head and Shoulders is about 68% pattern. If you trade with patterns, whatever, it doesn't matter if you don't. The point is, if it prints a Head and Shoulders, it looks something like this, and then we'll see another kind of fire sale. So for the long-term portfolio, I love this. I cannot wait to load up more. In fact, we're going to rebalance the M1 portfolio to have a lot more exposure to AMD because of this fire sale. But my point is here that it could definitely flip and look something like this for now. Is it worth 130, 140? Yes. I mean, the PE is not that expensive given the market that they're in and kind of the asset model that they're placed in the semiconductor space. The PE or the forward PE are actually very, very reasonable, especially relative to names like NVIDIA. That said, again, I definitely see a 13 here. This 13 makes sense that it would kind of rally a little bit, but if the market's still choppy and kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Just kind of, there's kind of like a buyer strike right now, right? And there's everybody's selling and liquidating. So, I can definitely see it getting back down to this level right here. I'm not going to say it out loud because it hurts for me to say it, but I do think that there's a potential rally that we could have here. We hit this 118 price target back again, 120-ish, and then we may reject. If we don't reject, good for us. We're going to go for a ride, and it will be fine. And in the near term, it might be a little dirty. It might be a little nasty. I'm buying anything under 100 for sure. I'm loading the boat, anything under 90 to 85. But do I think it can happen? It's definitely possible. This market is very, very, very bearish. And maybe it's just near-term bearishness. But I think generally this year it might be very flat. Just remember, this is actually the norm, not the exception to the rule. Last year and the year before that, the bull market was the exception to the rule. And as you can see, most folks in our chat and us, the macro research account, is just definitely crushing it. And that's because that's what we do. We trade these type of choppy markets, and we do really well on them. And in fact, I think the bull markets is what kind of hurts us the most, because we're sitting here doing fundamental analysis and saying there's no way Asan should be worth that much, there's no way Tesla should be worth that much, etc. And so we get trapped in the bull stampede going to the upside. But now it's our market, boys and girls. Redcliffe boys and girls. People who watch Redcliffe, you know it's our market. You know you've been waiting for this. So congratulations. But anyways, quick video. Thanks for watching. We'll probably do a live Saturday. I really want to do a live Saturday. I don't know that we'll do a market wrap-up tomorrow, but definitely a live Saturday. So yeah, thanks for watching, and we will see you later. Take care, everybody.